This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. Welcome to the Team Redline Pro Fun Cup by Adrenaline Control. And welcome to what is going to be an incredibly fun evening's worth of racing here on Racesport TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network, broadcasted from the iRacing Simulator. Hello, it's Will Vincent here along with Connery Maddock and Tyler Maxson. We are getting ourselves ready to go racing for 2 races here today, and it is a luck of the random draw. Our first race will be a short race at Daytona on the road course in the Porsche 911 RSR. Our second race, we don't even know what is going to be the car and the track that will be contested as of yet. The drivers will only find that one out after the first race finishes. The first race will be 12 laps here today. The second race, again, will be 12 laps. Qualifying will be 2 laps, solo qualifying. And, well, there's so many drivers and a stacked field here today. We've got drivers from Formula 1, Max Verstappen. From Formula E, Antonio Felix Acosta and Tom Dillman as others. We've got racing in LMP drivers, in GT races, in Formula Renault, in the Porsche Super Cup, in World Touring Car Racing, Formula 3, Formula 4. We've got 2 Barrichellos in our entry list here today, but they're all set to have some great fun here, Connery, here on iRacing.
Yeah, this is setting up to be an absolutely fantastic event. You just went through a portion of the entry list, Will, and it's basically the who's who of real-life racing from basically almost every single discipline you mentioned. Formula 1 driver Max Verstappen, Formula E, Formula 3, GT drivers as well. It's this field is absolutely stacked, and we usually use that in terms of an iRating context, and in this one, it's experience context.
Yeah, I was going to say, the iRacing for drivers, it varies dramatically. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks in particular, Tyler, many drivers who, cut their teeth in real-life motorsports, they have turned to the iRacing service to not just hone, but just keep up to date with their driving. Because, of course, iRacing, it's the world's most realistic racing simulator. All the tracks are micro laser scan, or the cars are laser scanned. You've got engine development, you've got tire development. This is as close as you can get to real world racing, and it's all here live on iRacing.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is something that I know personally so many people use as a training tool, as a development tool, and as a real testing grounds for not only honing in your craft, but also even sometimes honing in setups before we go into the races. I mean, I know I used that several times last year to get a very good understanding of what I'm going into before I would even go to the actual track, and so many more do that as well. And all of these guys today would have most of these people will have driven this track in real life that we at least have on this race today. So this is going to be some incredible racing. Like you said, it's a mix of real-life drivers and drivers that are native to the sim. So this is going to be so much fun.
Our broadcast today is brought to you in partnership with Adrenaline Control. You can check them out, the driving academy, at adrenaline-control.com. As well as ever as our friends over at iRacing, the world's most realistic racing simulator. You can find them on iRacing.com. So, we have got ourselves just a little bit of time before we head ourselves over to qualifying for this event. And, well, Connery, qualifying 2 laps worth of qualifying, solo car, solo track. That essentially means no draft will come into play in qualifying, but in the race, the draft is going to be everything.
Yeah, especially at a track such as this, it's going to keep all of the pack together pretty much. It's going to be very, very difficult if you're the leading couple of cars to break away from the rest of the field when it comes to that race. But you quite rightfully mentioned, Will, this is going to be a 2-lap solo qualifying, so you have the track all to yourself. No one else going to influence how you do. So it's all down to you to get the fastest lap time up onto the board. And of course, we'll have to see how that turns out in just a couple of minutes' time. You can see a couple of drivers in the background just out there getting their last couple of bits of practice in of this Daytona road course. And then we'll get ourselves switched over to that qualifying session to, of course, set the grids. Of course, we also have the likes of Lando Norris in this race. And of course, usually when it comes to iRacing special event side of things, Will, people ask in our chat a lot, where is Jimmy Broadbent? But he might be making an appearance for us for the second race of this, if what I'm told is being correct.
I've got my Vince McMahon impression. Jimmy! Get me Jimmy! He'll be in race number 2! Yeah, he will be. He'll be in our second race. We hope and we expect for Jimmy B to be in our second race here today. 2 races, as we said, Tyler. And the second track, we do not know as of yet. So these drivers have had 60 minutes of practice, or 58 and a half minutes of practice at this track at Daytona. They'll do their qualifying, they'll do their race. After that, they will head over to another random car and track combination. I made a WWE reference there. It's a bit like a lottery, WWE lottery. Anything can happen here tonight.
Yeah, really, anything can happen. And something that I love that kind of, style of racing where you really don't know what you're going into before you get to it. You really just kind of have to guess, and it's all about how quickly you can pick up a track, pick up a car, and get those two working together very well for you. And to me, that is usually when we get the best racing, because nobody's prepared, nobody's practiced, and everybody's pretty much coming in blind.
Yeah, we're riding on board right now with the number 50 car. We've got 20 seconds remaining in terms of our practice. This is Philip Knoll as he works the high banks of Daytona. And Tyler, you've done many a lap around here in these Porsche RSRs, including at Daytona. The banking and what we just saw there through turn number 6, possibly the hardest point on the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely one of the harder points of the racetrack. I mean, really, the Porsche RSR at Daytona is not the easiest combination in the entire world. And it's just, to be honest with you, any car at Daytona is a little bit tricky to find those last tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. And that's really what these guys are going to need right in practice. Max Verstappen and Enzo Benito, they were less than a tenth of a second separated them. So it's coming down to hundredths and maybe even thousandths of a second here, especially once we get in towards qualifying.
So, in terms of qualifying, to quote the famous phrase, there'll be no need for punterinos because it is going to be closed course qualifying. I'm going to have fun here today, by the way, ladies and gents. So, qualifying is now underway. Drivers will have 2 laps to set the fastest time they can possibly do. And what Connery that realistically means is drivers will either do an outlap, see how their tyres are, see what they think they can do, and maybe abort their first qualifying lap, or we'll do a qualifying lap and then a second qualifying lap. But we expect to see the tyre model on these cars, most drivers going out there, warming their tyres up for their first qualifying run, and then actually then just going flat out for lap number 2.
Yeah, it would be very risky to completely and utterly abort the first flying lap here and taking the tow back to pit lane. That means, even for the flying lap that you will get at the end of that, your tires are not quite going to be up to their optimal temperature. So even if you do mess up the first flying lap here, you should still continue on going and make sure you get that second lap in. There's a lot more pressure on your shoulders in that instance when you don't have that safety net of a banker lap, but you just still have to focus on the plan, still have to try and haul yourself as far up that grid as possible, because with a grid the size of this, Will, where we're looking about 50, 60 cars out there going to be taking the start for race 1, you really, really don't want to be stuck all the way back in the pack.
Indeed so. Don't forget, if you like us, if you're new to us, we are RaceBot TV. We are the world's premier online sim racing broadcaster. You can find us on Twitter at RaceBot TV, on Facebook, facebook.com/RaceBot TV, on YouTube at RaceBot TV as well. Give us a like, a share, a subscribe, all of those things, as well as saying thank you to our friends over at iRacing for this, and you can check out the iRacing eSports Network as well, and we'll provide you some details of that later on in this broadcast. So, drivers are all out there on track, and they are getting ready to do their laps. We'll give you, on the left-hand side of your screen, what is going to be a massive carousel, Tyler, at 2 points in the next 7 minutes. When the drivers do their first lap, they complete that, and the drivers, when they complete their second flying lap in qualifying. We're looking right now at Nicky Katzberg in the number 3 car as he works through the high banks at Daytona.
Working through the high banks here. And back to what you guys were saying about the tire wear versus, or really not even tire wear, but just tire temperature. That is going to be required. This Porsche RSR, it's a bit easier than some of the other GTE machinery that we have on the sim to get tire wear in, or get tire temperature into, but it's still not the easiest to do so. So it's going to be definitely a challenge for these guys to get a super competitive lap in on the first flying lap. The whole really best lap you're going to get is going to be on lap number 2. It's definitely not going to come from now. And I mean, we see it here with Max Verstappen. He's currently P1 is Max Manecke at a 42.006. I imagine that is going to go down drastically here on lap number 2.
Yep, so there's your first time. It's Max Manecke then at the front of your field. 142.006. Enzo Benito, second place. Max Verstappen in third. And Sindre Setsource in fourth place. What's worth noting there, in my opinion, Connery, is that all of these drivers have a lot of experience on iRacing.
Yeah, of course, the best example of that is that driver in pole position right now, Max Manecke, the road driver to hit over 10,000 iRating. If you're unfamiliar with iRacing, that's basically your matchmaking ranking if you're familiar with other esports. He is the top of the pile here on iRacing when it comes to that. Enzo Benito in second place here in qualifying at the moment. Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. It's an all F1 second row at the moment, but as we said, these are only the first laps coming in. Everything can and probably will change once they get those second flying laps.
Max Manecke in 2018 arguably had one of the biggest careers in terms of esports racing. In 2019, he ended up being in the advert for Porsche as he goes faster, and even though Verstappen moves up to P2, not able to take that place. Marcus Wallmeyer, Jonas Wallmeyer goes up into third place, Benito down to fourth, and Lando Norris down into the fifth position as it stands right now. We're looking a little bit further down your field. We're going to check out Rudy Van Buren. He's on the banking, heading towards the start-finish line into the tri-oval. 142.298 there will be his second lap time. He moves himself up there into 7th place on our grid right now. So a good second qualifying lap for him there, Tyler.
Yeah, good second qualifying lap for Rudy. Up in the, I mean, and that's crucial. 7th place, even though it may not be as far up as he would like, it's still crucial track position. Whenever you've got 50-something cars on the grid, it makes it nearly impossible, especially whenever they're at this level of speed. And it makes it nearly impossible to get past anybody. You're really having to get every position that you can. And just as Connery's actually pointed out in our chat, it's an all-max front row.
It is. But also your top 5+ drivers are all Team Redline here, Connery. You've got Max Benecke, who is a part of this new outfit for 2020. It is a kind of merger between Pure Racing Team and Team Redline as they came into the 2020 season. It is officially known as the Porsche 24 driven by Redline car. And he's alongside Team Redline's Max Verstappen on that front row of the grid. Jonas Warmeyer, same as Benecke. Enzo Benito, he's been a part of Team Redline now for over 5 years. Lando Norris, a part of Team Redline, rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a pretty star-studded top 5, including the real drivers and the sim drivers at the moment, as far as iRacing goes. So that is very, very good to see indeed. Currently only, 53 drivers are set qualifying times. There are a couple of drivers that at this stage have not put a time down just yet, and with their sort of steadily starting to run out of time to do so. We're about 2.5 minutes away from getting ourselves the grid firmly locked in.
Wait a minute, Connery. It's Jimmy B. Carry on.
Is it? Well,
it's
he is
Jimmy
out there
B.
on circuit. I thought he was only going to be around for race 2.
You know what? I say Jimmy B. My Apple Siri has just started playing some music. So one moment, hey Siri, stop. There we are. That's how excited Siri got by Jimmy B on the racetrack here at Daytona. Through NASCAR turn number 2, he comes right now. He has not yet set a qualifying time. He has got the opportunity to do so. This is going to be his one and only qualifying lap here, Connery.
Yeah, it is, and it's at the very dying moment of the session, trying to get onto the brakes into the bus stop, and clips those kibs quite nicely through there. Careful of the track exit there, dips 2 tires into the dirt. You can actually get an off-track and then therefore a slowdown penalty coming through there, and I think that's exactly what has happened here to Jimmy B, as Jimmer will have to start at the back of the grid.
Oh, my word. I mean, let's be honest, Jimmy, he's had his adversities over the years. He did actually win his split of a 24 hours race at Le Mans last year, Tyler, and I remember YouTube absolutely exploding when that happened. It's great to see Jimmy in here in this race amongst many other racing drivers. I've got to say as well, I saw on social media a couple of days ago, Jimmy B will actually be racing potentially in 2020 in the support series for DTM.
Yeah, and that's one of the very cool things that we've seen more and more often here on the sim is the opportunity for sim drivers to drive in the real world. And I think that's just one of the really cool things about iRacing specifically. That's where the majority of the drivers are coming from, and it shows. I mean, it's such a real platform that you have nearly an entire grid full now of real-life drivers that are come over to iRacing, and they're just having fun during the times that we're having right now where real-life racing is completely canceled across the board.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well, by the way, that Enzo Benito, who's in this race, he won the Race of Champions. So that just gives you another indication about how stacked your field is here today. Let's have a look through then your grid for this, the first of our 2 races in the Team Redline Pro Fan Cup, powered by Adrenaline Control. And it's Max Benecke who takes the pole position here for the Porsche 24 powered by Redline car. Max Verstappen will start alongside him on that front row of the grid. And then Jonas Warmeyer, Enzo Benito, they are row number 2. Row number 3 will be Gianni Vecchio and Lando Norris. Christopher Danbeat and Rudy Van Buren on row number 4. Row number 5 will be Sindre Satsauce and Nikki Katzberg. And Conway, take us through drivers 11 through 20.
Philip Noel will start in P11 with Nicholas Laubish in P12. Daniel Juncandela there in P13. Patrick Schneider lines up in 14th place. Kenny Vedastonk there in P15th place. And we've also got Nicky Team in 16th place. We've also got Kevin Vanderlyn lining up 17th. Antonio Felix de Costa in 18th place. Bruno Spengler will line up in 19th place. And Job van Uitert in P20.
And then Tyler, take us through drivers 21 through 30.
Max van Slurperton will start out of 21st. Aztec Girov will start in 22nd. Ramez Azram in 23rd. Max Hofer in 24th. Nagy Daniel in 25th. Robbie Foley will line up in 26th. And it will be Lucas Durifer in 27th. Mikkel Jensen in 28th. Matt Campbell in 29th. Daniel Ludegard in 30th. And it'll be Alex Ellis lining up in 31st. Dan Yon in 32nd. And then it'll be Daniel Morad in 33rd. Tom Dillerman in 34th. And Dominique Farbier in 35th.
Yeah, as we see then, the iRacing pace car is up on track, working through the high banks then of Daytona. There is your field. We are almost set to go racing here on RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. Verstappen will bring the field to, well, it's not going to be Verstappen, it's going to be Max Benecke bringing the field to the green flag in just 1 moment's time here. We are ready for an exciting evening's worth of racing as the field settles down. They've been warming their tyres through NASCAR turn 3 and turn number 4, but now the tyre warming stops. The pace car pulls on towards pit road. A last little wiggle there by Benecke. Green flag in the air. We are racing here live from Daytona.
All into turn number 1 then. We see side by side for between Vecchio and Sindre Setsos as your highest position battle coming through the first sector for the first time. I'm seeing no major dramas in the front half of the field. Onto the brakes, into the international horseshoe they go. It's a bit of a side-by-side train outside the top 10 at the moment, but those top 10 cars have gotten away well and very cleanly. We do have a wreck at the very back of the field though.
We do, as we're running on board a Jonas Warmeyer there, as they come down into the second horseshoe down at turn number 5 right now. They exit that and they work themselves down in towards turn number 6. It's going to be back on towards the banking they come. I want to go towards the rear of the field real quick. Jimmy Broadbent, actually, I was going to talk about him. He is out of the race for the moment. He's out at the very rear of the field here, Tyler.
So some sort of incident has obviously caused him to have to, I think he's retired from the event. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but unfortunate start for a few of the drivers a little bit further down the field. Couldn't even make it to the end of lap number 1.
Yep, so there is Jimmy B down in the number 9 car. He's having a load of issues down the rear of your field, but let's go back to the front of your field and let's look on board with Max Benecke in the number 57 car. He's got Verstappen right behind him. They're going to look as though they're going to go side by side as they exit themselves from turn number 4 and they come down to the start-finish line to complete their first of 12 laps here today and pass the start-finish line. A little bit of bump drafting actually there by the 2 Fanatec-sponsored cars in towards turn number 1. Benecke still leads, but Verstappen, we go on board with him right now, Connery. He is in P2. Your top few drivers remain similar to what we had, although we do have a crash towards the rear of your field, and that is going to be that's just outside our screen, and Antonio Felix da Costa is involved.
Yeah, Eduardo Barrichello also involved in this one into turn 1, and turn 1 is basically the trickiest braking point at this race circuit. You're transitioning off of the banking of the oval, and there's also a lot of bumps there coming down in towards turn number 1. Barrichello had his own issue, but it was Felix da Costa that got into a bit of a tangle with David Jan into the corner there. I think da Costa trying to track out as much as possible through the towards the start of the second phase of the corner. Not aware David Jan was on the outside, spun himself basically across the nose of that driver. So it seems like, Will, the only issues that we've seen so far are sort of towards the rear third of the field.
You say
because
that?
these leading guys have been through quite cleanly so far.
You say that, but Beneke's fallen all the way down to P number 7, just away from our screen. So Beneke actually is falling down 6 spots from the race lead, all the way down into P number 7. We'll try and show you a replay, but the issue is, right out the front of your field, you've got really close battling going on between Enzo Benito and Verstappen as they head themselves side by side then towards the start-finish line. Jonas Wallmeyer is going to make it 3 wide as they come past the start-finish line. Tyler, this is what we see in NASCAR, not in GT racing.
Yeah, 3 wide down in towards turn number 1. They all single file out though, but it is going to be Jonas Wallmeyer trying to make a move here. I believe that's someone off in the background. Who is that?
That's Benito.
Actually just gone off.
That's Benito.
Benito's gone off.
Yeah, that's Benito. He got pushed wide there. Down on the S's, get hits again for the International Horseshoe by Rudy Van Bruren then, and he loses even more positions. But Verstappen now in the lead of this race with Jonas Wallmeyer, Lando Norris in the 3rd place. And well, the big story of the last couple of minutes is that Max Beneke is down into P number 5. Verstappen leads, Beneke down into P number 5, Connery.
And this happened just a lap ago. It happened away from our screens, but Verstappen gave Beneke a bit of a bump into the International Horseshoe on the bricks. That sent Max Beneke wide. Didn't send him out into the grass though, but he did have to cycle back a good couple of positions. He still remains inside this top 10 though. Currently he is actually running in 5th place, so this has been a good recovery so far from Beneke as he sends it down the inside of Sindre Setsos. It's going to be side by side through the bus stop, but that Core Sim Racing driver holding on for now, and now this caused a bit of separation between your leading 3 cars and the rest of the field.
It does, as there we are looking at Beneke versus Rudy Van Bruren, the battle for P number 6 on track right now. A little bit further back, just to let you know, you got Nicky Thiem. Well, it looked to be close for a moment, but he's not anymore. Go on, Connery.
3 wide in this battle. Max Beneke is in the middle of the sandwich at the moment. Onto bricks into turn 1. Something's got to yield. Setsos goes very loose on the inside, but he's able to hold it together. Great bit of driving from Setsos as now he continues the fight with Beneke into the International Horseshoe. Van Bruren on the inside looking to try and get his way through, but he gets a lot of oversteer through the middle of the corner. They're all single file coming out of it, but what a great sequence from all involved.
It is, but also you had a secondary battle right at the front of your field. We're going to go back and look at that quickly. This is Jonas Wallmeyer in the number 71 car, trying to go for the race lead in towards turn number 1. You'll see how close they were. They come into the corner. Wallmeyer on the outside line got a little bit of contact, couldn't make it, and fell back a little bit. So battles going on all the way through your top few drivers right now. We've got another car off. This is Matt Campbell, by the way, in the number 48 car. He is off and he's losing a lot of time, and there's a huge gaggle of cars who's right behind him right now, Tyler.
A huge gaggle of cars then, and just actually trying to find this battle.
It's down P number 28, and actually it's kind of settling itself down a little bit. We are going to go a little bit further forward because, of course, getting to the end of the lap. We haven't talked about Lando Norris yet. We're on board with him right now. In the number 29 car, he's got Max Verstappen right behind him. These two battle most weekends in Formula 1 racing into the wall. That's like Azerbaijan almost there. Oh my word. Lando Norris goes to the front of your field. Verstappen into the wall. Can you believe that one, Tyler?
Wow, what an incident there. And I just gone on the replay here, and you can see Norris goes for the bump draft on Max Verstappen, sends him up into the outside wall, and that is going to be Verstappen's day done, I believe.
Yep, there's a replay. Don't forget, there are more live on boards. You can visit them at teamredline.com. But there's the incident. Verstappen hard into the wall. And as a consequence of that, he is actually back running. He was able to get that car turned around. Here's another look on board with Lando Norris. First of all, this is what happened. We're going to show you then what happened to Verstappen in just 1 moment's time. Let's show this one now from the angle of Max Verstappen as he's got Norris coming up behind him. There's the bump, and the car's going to spear to the right into the wall. How he did not completely wreck that car, Connery, I do not know.
Yeah, that's, well, very minimal damage for Max Verstappen considering the situation, but, you know, we sometimes do see the bump drafting come out here in these GT machines, but it's so much more risky than what you're going to be used to in NASCAR at this circuit, because those NASCAR stock cars, they have a very flat sort of rear bumper, which you can really get behind and push, but these GTEs, not so much. If you just get it even slightly wrong, something like that can happen, and Norris and Verstappen figured that out rather quickly.
I like on our social media chat, people saying, it ain't NASCAR. Don't try and go for the bump draft. And of course, these guys, they weren't necessarily trying to bump draft, but the draft is much closer when you are really close together. We've got Max Hoffa and Antti Kirchhoff right now battling out. P number 13 on track, on board with Max Hoffa. He's got the driver of Antti Kirchhoff just behind him right now by about a couple of tenths of a second on track. Antti Kirchhoff, of course, used to be a former driver in the iRacing World Championship Series. Conway, I'm sure Kirchhoff is chomping at the bit to have the idea of Zandvoort potentially being a Formula 1 venue, and of course, so much excitement of the Dutch community, and the fact that that race might be postponed. It's going to be such a blow to them.
Yeah, they'll figure out some way to hold it, despite everything. Maybe a little bit later on in the year, but still, it's a great opportunity for those Dutch fans, which I know there are many in our chat right now. Shout out to you guys, but it's not just Max Verstappen in this field that's Dutch. You know, there are a good couple of other drivers looking to try and advance themselves positions here. But right now, at least, in terms of the standings, it's Lando Norris by about 1.3 seconds, trying to run away at the front of the field, but Max Benecke in second place is reeling him in slightly. He's going to gain around about a tenth of a second on this lap, and we're coming towards the halfway point of the race now. 6 laps going to be to go next time they head their way across the start-finish line. Benecke, the closer he gets here, the more he's going to be feeling the tail end of that draft from Norris, and that is so important at a track like this. But Benecke doesn't also have to be concerned, well, he has to actually also be concerned about the cars behind, because he has Wallmeyer behind him, he has Enzo Benito, Sindre Setsos, Rudy Van Bruen trying to move around the outside at the moment through turn number 1 in that little pack. So at this point, I think the guys in the second pack here have to work together a little bit more than they've been doing already to try and capture a race leader, and for any of them to have a chance in this race win.
Yeah, as we've got Johnny Vecchio involved in a great battle with Philip Knoll right now. This is for P number 7 on track, but there is a gap between P1 and P2. This is Lando Norris to Max Benecke. Lando Norris, of course, driver for McLaren, also a driver on the esports side of things for Team Redline. Max Benecke for many years was a part of the Pure Racing Team in 2020, the merger between Pure Racing Team and Team Redline, and what has essentially become this Porsche 24 driven by Redline car that we're going to see in the Porsche Esports Super Cup in 2020. We're looking for the rear right now of Max Benecke as they work themselves down towards turn 3 and 4 as they'll come out of that corner right now. Lando Norris, that gap, as you say, is about 1 second right now, Tyler, but there's a lot of drivers chomping at the bit, and that draft range is only normally about 8 tenths of a second. If Benecke et al. Can get a little bit closer, this is still a long race. We're just getting close to about halfway distance, as Lando Norris did have a slowdown penalty through the bus stop that last time by.
Yeah, and they caught him up quite a bit. The gap is now under 8 tenths of a second. We're currently sitting at about 7 tenths at the moment. So Max Benecke now within the draft range of your race leader, Lando Norris, and he may be under attack, Will Norris, in just a few moments' time. If Max Benecke can get a good run onto NASCAR 1 and 2, and then as well get a good run out of the bus stop chicane, he could be by Lando Norris before we even get to turn number 1.
Yeah, as this race continues then, of course, we got Lando Norris in the lead at the moment, as he's currently now only has about 5.5 tenths of a second advantage over Max Benecke at the moment. And so Benecke is steadily trying to reel his way in, and he's being very, very successful at doing so. And the closer he's going to get, the more of that draft that he's going to get, and the easier it'll be, Will.
Indeed, so as they all come down to turn 1, that gap's really come down as they work themselves through turn 1. We just showed you a couple of moments of other battles going on track here, because even though the battle's really close at the front of your field, we have got other battles going on track. We showed you Lucas Schreier versus Nicholas Lorbich a moment ago. That was actually changed positions since we last showed that one. We've also got Jimmy B. He's been working himself through the field. He's up to P35. He's just got himself past Daniel Moran right now, as we just check in quickly on him. As oh, look at that. That's down in towards the bus stop chicane. No, down in towards the start-finish line even. And that is going to be Daniel Moran going back past around the outside in towards that first corner. So there's so much action going on track here when you get a stacked group of drivers here. And of course, we talked about this at the top of the broadcast, Tyler. These are drivers from Formula 1, from Formula E, from GT Racing, from Formula 3, Formula 4, Deutsche Toyota Martins, everything else. Of course, going to have a stacked field like this.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you put nearly 55 or 50 pro drivers into a race, it's only a matter of time, really, before you're going to have some incredible battles all the way through, and that's exactly what we have today. They've put 50-something pro drivers out on a racetrack, mixed in some pro sim racers as well, and, well, this is what you get.
Yeah, indeed. As we're looking on board with Brunner Spengler for a moment there, he's just got himself past Kevin van der Linde as the battle will continue as they come past the start-finish line. The battle is continuing at the front of your field as well. Lando Norris just hold off a charge there from Max Benecke. And anyone who sees our broadcasts on Sunday night when we did the 2K World Cup will know that sometimes, Tyler, the opportunity to strike is on the last lap of the race. You sometimes do not want to go too aggressive too early. So replays up then, down in towards turn number 1. And Benecke, he looked, he thought about it and said, you know what, not yet. And that's going to be the case of this race. There's going to be 5 or 6 drivers competing for the victory on the last lap of this race because of the fact they know, being P number 1, to quote long-time NASCAR commentator Darrell Waltrip, is a sitting duck.
It really is, especially whenever you have guys in this race where they just have so much experience. They're going to know when to pounce, how to defend, and how to attack. You really don't want to be the driver out in the lead because it's nearly impossible to defend a car whenever they have 7-8 miles an hour on you heading through NASCAR 3 and 4 for the final time. This is really the exact position that Max Benecke wants to be in, and I think you can just see right there, he slowed out the bus stop a little bit to try and get a run on Lando Norris and see if he can just figure out his timing before they get to the last lap, because that's something that you do want to have planned. You want to know how big of a gap you need to leave in order to draft by before the straightaway ends.
We talk about crazy stories right now. Verstappen is about 5.1 seconds back from your race lead, but what we know, Connery, is that when these lead groups start fighting, anything can happen. These drivers right now probably going about a second and a half a lap slower than what they would normally be doing, because they're all playing that waiting game. That waiting for that final lap, the waiting and being in position. We're on board of Jonas Warmeyer right now in 3rd place, and I think actually he's going to say, you know what, I'm in the right place. If anyone tries to overtake him, he'll defend it heavily, but he doesn't want to lose that 3rd place, because what you can do, if you're on 3rd, overtake a driver from P6 down to the bus stop, overtake a driver from the bus stop to the start-finish line, or do a combination of both for the final run.
Yeah, races like this where the draft is so prevalent, I like to call them thinking races, because it's, well, not always the car or the driver that's fastest over a single lap that wins these sorts of things. It's being in the right place at the right time when it comes to those final couple of laps. We are on the penultimate lap now, so next time around will be the start of the final lap. Beneke still a bit far back off of Norris. Warmeyer having a little bit of a look there into the bus stop, but he just finds no ground around there. Norris is still maintaining the gap of about 0.2 of a second in the race lead at the moment, but there are a bunch of hungry piranhas behind looking to try and gobble him all up. Enzo Benito to the high side of NASCAR turn 4 here. He's not going to be able to gain any ground out there, so he ducks back inside the slipstream, try and get up to the back bumper of Warmeyer, try and get a bit of side draft in towards turn number 1 as they're all closing in on your race leader of Norris. White flag's going to be out. This is the final lap, Will, and it all hangs in the balance.
And immediately we see, oh, Benito going off there down at turn number 1. That opens a door for Jonas Warmeyer as they head themselves down into the International Horseshoe. So we've seen action and drama already on the final lap of this race. Enzo Benito being pushed off wide down at turn number 1. What that did, however, is it made it easier for Lando Norris, because of the fact that they had all of this scrapping for position. It's given Lando Norris a 0.7 of a second advantage as they now come down into turn number 6. Beneke, Warmeyer, Sindre Setsos, all really close together. They're actually on board with P number 4, the number 89 car of Sindre Setsos right now as they work onto the banking through NASCAR turn number 2. It's Jonas Warmeyer who is just ahead right now as they work through these last couple of corners. Lando Norris is currently 0.6 of a second ahead. Beneke is safe in P number 2. Warmeyer looks safe for the moment in P number 3. It's that last dance to the line. What will happen as we're looking from the rear of Lando Norris as he works through NASCAR turn number 4? He's got enough of a gap. No one's going to close him for the tri-oval. Lando Norris wins the first part of our event here today and the Team Redline Pro Fun Cup by Adrenaline Control. It's going to be Max Beneke in 2nd place, Jonas Warmeyer in 3rd, and Sindre Setsos running out your top 5. Let's take a quick moment to go back and start talking about what happened on that run on the final lap, because we saw Enzo Benito being pushed out wide, and that's what really caused a huge turn of events. We're going to go on board briefly with Enzo Benito. This is through NASCAR turns number 4 in towards the tri-oval. He goes to the outside of Jonas Warmeyer as they come past the start-finish line in towards 1. He goes a little bit wide, cuts back in, and actually just glances aside there, Tyler, of Max Beneke in the number 57 machine.
It glances Max Beneke. Really, they're lucky that that didn't take Beneke out as well, but that was an exciting last lap to say the least. And really, I think that if they didn't battle as hard maybe through turn number 1, they would have had a shot at Lando Norris, but as soon as they started doing that, they lost themselves far too much time, and Norris pretty much just had to cruise his way to the end.
And Connery, I think Tyler just made the perfect point. Had they have been regimental, calm and collected through the first sector, we could have had a mass dance to the line. Because of what we saw Benito, Beneke, Wallmeyer there in the mix as well. All that did is help Lando Norris, the number 29 car, claim a victory.
It was a little bit of desperation from Benito, because I don't think you're going to win this race on the final lap under normal circumstances from fourth in line, which is where he started his move, coming through the tri-oval across the start-finish line in towards turn number 1. He wanted to make sure he was either in second or third place. He wasn't able to slot into third place because Wallmeyer was so pressed into the back bumper of Max Beneke, so he simply had to go around the outside of Beneke. And it's 2 into 1 into that corner as far as I'm concerned. I think Benito was expecting Beneke to be a little bit closer to the grass trim on the inside, just door-to-door contact. Can't really ascribe any blame in that one. Benito sent to the outside, and that basically nets and gifts on a silver platter Lando Norris's win in race 1.
Just having a look there at some drivers then coming past start-finish line. Lando Norris. We saw one driver doing some lawnmower racing, one driver into the safer barrier, and we are going to take a look at your final race results. And it's Lando Norris then who claims victory by about 3 tenths per second over Max Beneke. And Lando Norris moving up some positions to take the victory here today. Max Beneke started towards the front of your field. Jonas Wallmeyer in 3rd place. Indre Setsors in 4th. Rudy Van Buren in 5th place. Gianni Vecchio in 6th. British Spengler in 7th place. And Nicky Thiem in 8th. Kevin Van der Linde in 9th place. And Enzo Benito rounds out your top 10. I'm going to show the rest of the results then up on your screen. Well, Connery, a great first race here. And even now, we don't know who is going to be next up in terms of the car and track combination.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes pinned on the little spreadsheet that I had to see if there are any further details, but none to be announced just yet. So we will be going to a mystery car and using we're going to a mystery track, and we'll be using a mystery car for race number 2. They'll have about 30 minutes of practice to try and get used to what they've been given, but I'm certainly excited for that one, given how absolutely bonkers this race was. I just can't wait to get that second race started, no matter where or what car it's using.
Yep, so there's a look again at your race results, just cycling through on your screen. We're going to use this time to have a little bit of a chat, hopefully talk to a couple of drivers as well. But Connery, as we say, this field here today is absolutely stacked, and it shows the fact that, you know, racing drivers, yes, of course, they race to win money and prizes, but many drivers race for the fun of racing. That's the first priority.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, in that instant with Max and Lando, there's going to be obviously no hard feelings with that. In fact, they might even just gently make fun of each other for that particular instant. But yeah, it's all fun what we're doing here today. But, you know, when we get to things like in iRacing, especially with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola series, with the Porsche Esports Super Cup, that's where the serious sim races get very, very serious indeed. And it's where we see some very, very good racing. But, you know, it goes to show that these sorts of events as well can play host to some absolutely brilliant racing, especially at the very front of the field there, where for the most part everyone was pretty respectful. And the instant that we did see at the end of the race and towards turn number 1, I couldn't personally ascribe any blame for that. So it's pretty good going.
Yep. Apologies there for the sound a little bit, but of course today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iRacing, the world's most realistic racing simulation. As a plane takes off there from Daytona International Speedway in our background. Check out iRacing.com right now for special offers for new memberships. Our broadcast is also brought to you by our partner for today. That is Adrenaline Control Driving Academy. You can find out more at adrenaline-control.com. we have got one driver who is ready to have a little bit of a chat with us. And Connor, I believe this is, I'm just doing a quick look on my list. I was going to say Didrik Hines, but that's not going to work out for me. Yeah, it is Didrik Hines. Hi, Didrik. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Will. Is my microphone clear? I need to do.
Your microphone is now working perfectly. Connor, take it away.
Perfect.
There we go. Deirdre, we've had a absolutely brilliant race here for race number 1. And how is it for you? Because it looks like, at least right now, as far as Team Redline concerned, it was pretty successful for you guys. So just take me through your thoughts on that race.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by the people, by the grid that we have managed to get together. It started out as some kind of, well, I wouldn't say, let's say, joke. I mean, it's just we needed something to do. And we decided, let's have some good racing with some high-quality drivers together. And we reached out to some people, and that group kept on growing and growing. And to have like a full grid, I mean, there were people even waiting to get onto the server. They never made it there because it was full. It's really exciting. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a brilliant event for the second half as well, and with organizing this sort of thing on such short notice as well, getting drivers of this caliber onto the server, how's the process of that in sort of behind the scenes context for you? Because it must not have been easy.
No, not at all actually, and I think the decision to try and get you guys to make a broadcast came today. But that was actually because we had such a great group together of drivers, and we thought, okay, lots of people are sitting at home now, either in quarantine or whatever. They have nothing to do, or they need some entertainment. So that's why we thought let's make a broadcast. And I'm really happy that it all worked out well. So thank you guys for that, for the quick response, and I think we have a good amount of viewers already. So it was a stressful day, but everything came together well.
Yeah, and of course, we are not done here on Racesport TV or the iRacing Esports Network, because we have race 2 coming up in just a bit. And I guess I should pass on the sort of the reveal of that to you, if you're willing to do so, Didrik. Where are we going for the next race, and what car are we using?
Well, we stay in Daytona, because by now they will know the track. But we will go for the F3 car.
Ooh. Formula 3. That, if you thought the draft was insane this race, let me tell you, those Formula 3s are going to be swapping positions on the banking every which way, just like some form of mini IndyCar race going on there. That's a very, very interesting combination that should be really, really fun. You optimistic about it, Didrik?
Yes, absolutely. No, I hope we can get the viewers at home some great action. Let's see. I mean, this is the first time that we've done something on this scale, and let's see how it pans out.
Yeah, let's see how it pans out. Thank you very much, Didrik, from Team Redline, who have very, very kindly put on this event, of course, in the support of iRacing and Racesport TV as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll pass things back to Will.
Anything can happen, right, in motorsports? Yeah. And it usually does. So we're going to have some Formula 3 cars racing at Daytona on the road course. And I've got to be honest here, Tyler. I'm one of these people that often complains when you see IndyCars going around the high banks here. But IndyCar had actually tested at this track on the road course. So this isn't anything completely outside the realms of reality. But Formula 3 cars, well, it's going to be Draft Fest City, shall we say.
Yeah, I think that's putting it lightly. It'll be Draft Fest City. And I think we're also, and having the new damage model on that car as well, this is going to be a fun final race, to say the absolute least. And it's going to be incredibly action-packed.
Yeah, we are going to be almost ready to go back to some live pictures in a moment's time. doing some magic behind the scenes here. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of our coverage here already on the iRacing Esports Network. I'm going to do a quick couple of shout outs. I'm going to literally just scroll through the feed. John Bacho, hello. Hope things are going well for you as well. Mark Rowlin, hello to you. The Gamersaurus, probably the best YouTube name I've seen apart from Mushroomhead199. Shout out to both of you, to Arjan van der Bosch as well. Hello, hope you're enjoying our race here today. To H Frank07, yes, Nicotine is streaming. There are streams going online. Check out the Team Redline website for more information. Lando is texting Verstappen and says he's surprisingly calm. Says Angela Becker. Thank you for that comment. And hello, welcome to the iRacing Esports Network. Fishing. But why isn't Jimmer streaming? Unfortunately, we don't know the answer to that. Our broadcast today is brought to you in part by Adrenaline Control Driving Academy. Check out adrenalinecontrol.com for more information on that. So, Formula 3, Connor, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty ready. You know, it's the closest that well, it's open wheel Formula cars on a Roval, which is reminiscent of a good couple of races. So we'll just have to see how that works. But I'm certainly very optimistic about this. We'll get to see the iRacing new damage model in action as well on these cars. So expect for, at least towards the mid-pack and the back of the field, a lot of front wings breaking up all over the place and wheels going all over the place. But as far as the front of the field is concerned, they've been very clean in that first race, so they should be very clean in this second race as well. But yeah, this just gets me all kinds of excited for this next race. And of course, it's more home to Max and Lando than, of course, those GTE cars were.
Yeah, and a bit of Formula car racing. And earlier on, actually, before we went on air, Tyler, you talked about two drivers in particular that share a family name, Barrichello. We were joking about, well, we're going to go back to the year 2000 and say Barrichello, as they used to do when Rubens won his first ever Formula One race, and Germany in the year 2000. As we talk about crazy races, that will still be one of the craziest races in the history of Formula One. But the two Barrichellos have been taking part in this race, and that's great to see. Actually, some second, third generation racers being a part of iRacing, and Barrichello's been so big in terms of iRacing last few years. It's great that he's actually utilised that as a driving experience for his sons as they start moving up into the open wheel Formula categories.
Yeah, and that's just another example of how iRacing can be used as a tool to help you train. He's not having him use iRacing for he's having him use iRacing for a reason. It's the most realistic simulator that you can get, and it's the closest thing to real life, and it's also way cheaper if you put a car on the wall. So you can really test the boundaries of what is doable and what's not in iRacing way cheaper and way more accessibly than you can in real life.
Yeah, indeed. So I had to give a shout out to Lorenzo Bonda, who, of course, is one of our commentators here on RaceSpot TV, because I forgot him, Tyler, and now he's feeling very upset.
Yeah, just watching the YouTube chat, you can see Lorenzo is definitely not happy about being left out of the shout-outs, but hey, you still got your shout-out, Lorenzo.
Yeah, shout out also to Frederick Ritskovic. I'm going to say that correctly, I promise. To Povius M, to Charles Mohan, Mark Rowlin, looking at us on our social media as well. We are about 15 minutes away from the start of our second race. I will say one thing, Connery. I got promised a boatload of interviews when we organised this event, and we have to say as well, this event, well, we've done it live in less than 12 hours, and joking aside, in that time I've had to build a PC. I now have two RTX 2080 Titans that don't work on my desk next to me, put in an old graphics card, and go live. So if I can do all of that, and we can do all of that, where are the drivers?
Yeah, I mean, for those aren't aware, just about 20-30 minutes before the iRacing Sebring 12-hour broadcast, Will's PC literally caught fire. And I'm not using that as hyperbole. It actually did catch fire, so smoke and everything. But yeah, we were able to get this broadcast together for our friends over at Team Redline and, of course, iRacing as well. For those just tracking the progress of the session right now, we're around about 15 minutes or so from getting qualifying for this second race started. So we got a bit of time to fill before we get to that point. But yeah, we do a lot of work behind the scenes here at RaceBot to bring you coverage, and of course all the other iRacing broadcasters as well that get to broadcast here on the iRacing Esports Network, and that is due to partially the massive help that iRacing do actually give us on these things.
Yeah, they do. And shout out to Kevin, Greg, Drew, Steve, Otto, Tony, anyone who I've forgotten, I apologize. Cisco. I've got to forget to add Cisco to my list of people to thank, especially over the last couple of weeks. It has been intense, but we're glad that we've got such great partners to work with in terms of iRacing, and we've got some great races coming up, actually. Connery, we've got World Championship season starting. We've had the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. That's getting underway. We've got ourselves what you all going to be commentating on, the Porsche Esports Super Cup coming soon. We've got many more World Championship series starting in terms of Rallycross, in terms of our USAC racing sides of things, and all this sort of stuff. Even though most motorsport around the world is being suspended, we still got top-level content every single day on the iRacing Esports Network.
Yeah, it's you know, it's always a benefit of sim racing. You can just do it from home, so you don't have to go outside or to an actual venue to compete in these things. You can just be at home and just get out there on circuit and race for sometimes huge prizes. For example, in that eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, they're racing for a $300,000 prize pool, which is absolutely crazy, and you have massive sponsors coming into that. You have the real-life race teams coming into the esports scene as well on the oval side as well as the road. I'm sure everyone's aware of Williams Esports coming into this, and of course Red Bull Racing Esports and everyone else like that. So you know, given of course the unfortunate circumstances, this is where racing is going to be, at least for the next couple of moments. And it just goes to show, if you work at something for so long, you're going to reap the benefits at some point. And you know, we've been doing sim racing broadcasting. Well, I've been doing it for around about 4 years at this point. Will, I know you've been doing it for longer. You might as well be my granddad at this point, as far as sim racing is concerned. But you know, sim racing has been around not just for the last couple of years, it's been around for decades, you know, going back to a couple of the older sims in the early 2000s as well. So people have been coming online and doing racing like this for a long while, and now we have the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah, indeed. As Jonas Warmeyer on social media, Tyler, just bought the F3 car, 10 minutes to get used to it. Kind of sums up anything can happen Tuesdays, as we're now going to name it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put this. But hey, I mean, that just makes it even more fun. You know what I mean? Whenever you learn a car in 10 minutes, or in 30 minutes, actually, with total practice session time. But if you can learn a car in 10 minutes, go out, qualify it, and then race it, and still get a good position, that's when you know you're doing something right.
Indeed so, as we are just checking on the clock, as we have got ourselves a total of, bear with me, 10 minutes and 42 seconds remaining. We have got someone to talk to. We've got Gianni Vecchio from Team Redline. Hello!
Hello,
Gianni Vecchio, how's it going, my friend?
Dude, I'm pretty good. Like, after you tagged me on Facebook with that lap where I drove on the wrong side, like rewards, it was perfect.
Talk us through that lap. What happened?
Third lap, yeah, like I got an incident on the oval on the last part, and then I was like, I don't want to reset. Why not? I asked Max to do a reverse lap challenge, but he denied it, and I was like, okay, I will do it myself then.
Wow. So basically, what you're telling me is you've taken the Polish victory lap, what happens at the end of a race, and you put it into the start of a kind of like practice qualifying session.
Exactly. So I don't know who it was, but someone suggested that we should do this one time, that we should do a reverse quali challenge sometime at some point. I would be definitely up for it. We can do it.
Well, don't forget, by the way, very quickly, you can find us on social media at RaceBot.tv, on the Twitter machine, on Facebook, /RaceBot.tv, on YouTube, /HD RaceBot, because we weren't quick enough to get RaceBot.tv and make it a nice and easy list. Lando Norris, hello, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm great. I think that was one of the biggest wins of my life.
Look, don't say that to McLaren. They're gonna dock your pay or something.
Well, I mean, no, because I've never won with them, so I think they understand. It was a fair race at all stages. I never did anything wrong in our race, and yeah, I'm very happy.
I've got to ask you a serious question, Lando.
All right.
Following on from the conversation that you had with Hamilton at Silverstone last year in the press conference, has anything changed?
Can you expand on that?
Hair.
Yeah. Did you actually see what my answer was?
I never actually did. No. So talk us.
Well, okay. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I'll go and find that one out later on, shall we? We've got Atsi Kurikov here as well from Team Redline. Atsi, how's it going?
Pretty good. I need some pace. Do you have any tips, Will?
Go fast, turn left, except when you need to turn right.
Just a bit more flat out.
Yes, but this race, it's kind of anything can happen Tuesdays right now here, Atsi. So, talk us through this event, because it was literally about 12 hours ago when you started messaging me saying, you guys do a podcast tonight?
Yeah, well, it started with a nice idea just to create a server for some real racing drivers who are becoming very bored at this point at home. So yeah, we set one up and we started talking with everyone, and I think yeah, a big race yesterday already, and today we just expanded a little bit, and we thought it deserved a broadcast, and so far so good.
Yeah, as we now have a different camera. We apologise. Our cameraman, if anyone actually knows Daytona, there is a man at Daytona who does the overnight coverage. One camera angle for the entire night segment. He is an absolute trooper. We paid a little bit of homage to him, but we do apologise for some of the engine sounds that came through there. Lando, you won, of course, a number of races in Formula 3. You won a race, of course, here today. Formula 3, this is right up your ballpark, isn't it?
I hope so. I was surprised at how quick I was in the Porsche, to be honest, because I didn't do a lot of testing. And I've not been on iRacing that much lately, obviously with all the pre-season and everything. But I started getting back into it, but I didn't really do any IMSA or any Porsche stuff, so I was not expecting to be as quick as I was, especially after Max spun down the back straight. Don't know what happened there, but after he spun, I thought I was gonna get caught a lot quicker than I did, especially by Max Benecki, who's obviously known for being quite a handy driver in iRacing. So I was surprised at how well I did, but I'm more confident in the F3. But it doesn't mean I'm going to do any better. I'm just a bit more confident in this car, so we'll find out in a matter of minutes actually. But qualifying can go well. But the race is going to be absolute chaos because the slipstream is like almost, I reckon, 7, 8 tenths a lap. So you're going to be passing guys like 2 or 3 times down the straight. So it's going to be a good one.
I don't mean to rib on you, but seeing as you drive, we got I thought we had another backwards driving thing going on there, but
okay, I can do that, no problem.
Go ahead, John. But without needing to rib on you here, Lando, seeing as you drive for McLaren, and of course they had engines that was powered by Porsche, I have to say the word Porsche to you, so that you don't get in trouble with your PR guys down the line. But Gianni,
I don't even know what year that was, to be honest.
It was the tag engines back in the day, because of course Tag paid a lot of money to rebound the Porsches as tag engines back in the 80s.
Yeah, I knew all of this. Yeah.
I feel really old right now myself, don't worry. Gianni, before we let you get over to qualifying, what's your thoughts heading into Formula 3 qualifying, lone qualifying, thankfully, for Daytona?
What I'm thinking of?
Yeah, what are you thinking of?
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice since Max Verstappen has the advantage of getting drafted by someone. Lando as well. Like Lando has to rely on his pure talent. I mean, it's a lot, way more than Max Verstappen. But I mean, I would bet on Lando for pole. And Max being that last, obviously. Yeah, Atze will mix it up as well in the middle, and I will try to look for pace inside the top 10.
And Atze, going to round things off with what I think is going to be a bit of sanity in all of this chaos right now. What's your thoughts heading into this? Going to be a 12-lap event here.
Yeah, well, for most of them it will be like a 1-lap event probably, because we are running with damage on. So last run we could hit each other normally and just continue, but I think after lap 1 we will see a lot of guys dropping the surface. So yeah, it's going to be a one big mayhem. I hope not, but
It's going to be tires everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun. I think this is going to be the best event of the year.
Well, good luck, everyone. Have fun. We are just a few moments away from qualifying. Atze, seeing as you put this event together with Dom, etc., give us a quick shout out to your friends and your sponsors.
Well, of course, Fnatic, aka Mega, Adrenaline Control and Field Gloves. Super excited that the team pulled this off already. This is the first race out of more, so we're planning to organize more in the near future just to get through this difficult time. So I'm super happy how everything is going so far. I've been talking a lot. I haven't been practicing a lot, so I will be that last probably in quali. But
oh, that's Max.
Thank you.
Well, before you go, Janet, anything that you want to say?
I want to say thank you to everyone who participates in here. I mean, in our team we got Enzo Bonito to race again. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah,
that's quite an achievement if you ask me. And yeah, thanks to everyone who participated, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, thank you very much. There's a million jokes that I would like to make about Enzo Bonito racing again. None of them, unfortunately, are suitable for a broadcast, which we ticked the copied button there, Connery. But it's great to talk to some people there, Atze Kurikov, Gianni Vecchio, and of course to your race winner from our first event of Lando Norris. We are, however, getting close to our second race qualifying getting underway. And I like that. It's kind of a bit of a semi-serious race, comedic middle part, and now we're ready for the main event. It's like those three are just the compares.
Yeah, they're an absolute blast, and I can see why, you know, for example, Lando Norris's stream is so popular, and you know, I tune into it myself as well. It's great to see that sort of fan engagement from, you know, drivers now. It's absolutely brilliant, and it just makes racing a lot more accessible to the younger audience, and that is what some series have been struggling with for the past while. Is, you know, how do they attract a younger audience? And it's drivers like Lando Norris doing what they're doing that does it.
On social media, Tiva, it's not the 737, it's actually a Boeing 757 that's been modelled by iRacing. As a bit of an AV geek here, Tyler, of course, one of the difficulties in the next couple of years is that I don't get the chance to go down to the airport and plane spot a lot, but we do have a little bit here on iRacing, the fact that they actually modelled a real-life aircraft take off from Daytona Beach.
And I think that's just, it's the little things like that that just make it so good. Because, I mean, I know for a lot of people that, you know, they wouldn't even think about the airplanes that constantly take off from Daytona, but they do. And I think it's always fun whenever you're doing, you know, a 24-hour broadcast or whatever, or if you're just racing in the 24 and you just sit there and just watch the planes take off for hours.
And just to let you know, by the way, Daytona is actually one of the busiest airports on the East Coast. Silverstone becomes one of the busiest airports in the world during the British Grand Prix, mainly because of helicopters and rich people with far more money than I do, who have the opportunity to go around. By the way, practice is almost over, so we are almost ready to go racing qualifying, shall we say at the very least, for our second event here today. And that will be a 2-lap solo car qualifying. They joked about it, Connie, a little bit on the feed, but solo car qualifying, it does mean that we're not going to get any random draft trains.
No, we're not. So it's just the driver versus the track here in qualifying, just like it was in race number 1. Of course, these guys are actually using a fixed setup, so they are quite limited in terms of the adjustments they can make here. They can't change any of those wing angles, for example. So they are just going to have to deal with what they've been given. They can adjust the brake bias a little bit, and that's just about it on these Formula 3 cars. So let's see how they're going to adapt to that. But qualifying is now underway. Drivers going to get out there for their first out lap, and we'll get to have a slight idea of how the grid may stack up in just a couple of moments' time.
And Connery, one of the big differences between this car is that we've got the full new iRacing damage model. And that means we're going to see wheels, suspension braking, we're going to see all these sorts of things. And we heard a little bit about this in the chat and the kind of fun what we heard. But the serious point about that is that there's not going to be any fun trying to bump draft. These drivers are going to have to be a little bit more careful than what they were running in the Porsche RSR car that we saw half an hour ago.
Yeah, absolutely. This car is a different beast to that Formula E. Of course, we basically changed discipline as well from Tim Top GT racing into the open wheelers. So we might see a little bit of a change in terms of who's running at the front. Of course, you can expect the usual names of Beneke, Lando, Max Verstappen, and all those still at the top of the standings. But we might see a good couple of other names, especially from the Formula 3 side of things as well. Let's see if Felix da Costa can get himself a good qualifying time here to mix it in with those guys at the front of the field.
As we're on board, Nicky Catberg there, as he heads himself through NASCAR turn 3 and 4. Let's do a Racebot TV fan immersion, shall we? Let's do a lap on board with Nicky. The times will come up on the left-hand side of your screen as we do a Racebot TV fan immersion. Gatzberg past the line, and he goes up into P number 8. Then, in terms of our qualifying right now, hey, surprise! It's the Formula 3 driver leading the way. It's Lando Norris right now, Connery. Who would have thought? And oh, look, he's running McLaren cars as well.
Yeah, he's got to rep the brands as far as he's concerned. So any open wheel car probably going to be McLaren branded. And well, there we go. He is the only driver right now inside the 1 minute 42.9 speed. He did just go very wide coming onto the NASCAR banking. He's risking picking up an instant point through there. and ended up invalidating his second lap. And of course, these Formula 3s also on the new tire at the moment, so they're going to be still coming up to temperature coming onto that second lap. So Lando, this could be a slightly slower second lap here. We'll just have to wait and see as he's heading his way through the bus stop right now. Provisional pole position, like I said, the only driver in the 1 minute 42s at the moment, but he'll be joined by a good couple of other drivers once they get their second lap start.
Yeah, and second place driver Bent Viscal, well, he should be good at this because he is a current Formula 3 driver. So he heads himself down in towards the bus stop chicane. Of course, he's never had to deal with the Daytona International Road Course here, Tyler. But Bent Viscal showing that, you know what, there's not that much difference in the simulated version of iRacing. Oh, look at that. He's going down to the apron as well. He's taking that line. This is going to be great for this race.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting, and if they can do that in the race as well, that is going to be a busy apron when you have nearly 50-something F3 cars buzzing through the apron. And he will not go better, though, on his second lap. He'll actually lose 0.2 of a second. So Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, the two current Formula 1 drivers, they're currently locking out the front row. Beneke sits down in third, though, and then Robbie Foley, GT driver from real life, sits down in fourth position.
Yep, we've got another GT driver looking on board right now. Down in P number 36 is Federico Leo, who just bumped down to 37th and goes up to 30th with his second lap effort then. So, a couple of drivers are still to complete their qualifying times. Hey, Connery, it's time for a Jimmy B update. And he's in P number 28. He's qualified this time.
Yeah, so at least that's an improvement from race number 1. 28th on the starting grid. But the thing is, here for Jimmy B, he is sort of in the thick of things at the moment as far as this race is going to be concerned. He's going to be starting solidly mid-pack there in P29. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does here and how he's going to be able to try and pick his way through the field without getting punterinoed. But we'll just have to wait and see as we are coming towards the end of qualifying here. About 3 minutes to go on the session itself. Most of everyone have already set their second qualifying times here. We're still waiting for the likes of Philip Eng to head their way through. Eng hasn't even set a first lap, let alone a second flying lap at the moment, so he has a decent couple of chances coming towards the end here, but he is starting to run out of time.
He is, and he's also doing a lot of that weaving, trying to get the heat into those tyres there in the number 59 car. We see him often, of course, in the BMW 120 events. Here on iRacing, was a part of our event in Munich with BMW last year, as well in December in the beautiful Spiral Tower, as I'm going to call it, down at BMW in Munich. We're hopefully going to be there again in December for their end-of-year sim racing event. But Philip Eng, he's going to start a lap right now here, Connery. And, well, let's look at trouble points on the racetrack as he goes around. Turn 1 and 2, of course, is going to be a trouble point, but I think more the International Horseshoe in an open wheel car, it's going to be single file, double file. Someone might have a wheel taken off.
Yeah, there might be very many wheels taken off over the course of this race. Maybe someone should probably keep count of how many have been lobbed over the barriers or something like that. But Philip Eng right now on his first flying lap, and he might be, well, he'll only be able to get this one in. He doesn't have enough time to get back around and set a second qualifying lap here. Currently the standings are Norris at the top, Max Verstappen second, Beneke, and then Foley bringing things down to P4. Norris, though, still the only driver inside the 1 minute 42s at the moment. It doesn't look like he's going to be surpassed coming towards the end of this session right now, because the only drivers that are out there doing laps are drivers that I wouldn't really expect, for all intents and purposes, to get themselves inside the top 10. That's not throwing shade on any of them. But I'm probably going to get some angry PMs after this. But Philip Eng coming up towards the bus stop now, just a couple more corners to go before he's able to get himself to the start-finish line, and we'll get to see where he starts in the grid.
Yeah, indeed. As he's going to work himself now through NASCAR turn 3 and 4. You know what, actually, Tyler? I'm so used to saying NASCAR Turn 3 and 4 in January only. To say that again right now is kind of a little bit weird, shall we say.
Yeah, you pretty much are used to stopping Daytona at January and then really not visiting it again until January again next year, with maybe the exception of February some of the time. But, you know, most of the time it's these first 1 or 2 months of the year that we actually ever go to Daytona, and then we pretty much all just forget about it until the previous year. But hey, it's fun to be back here, and it's definitely a great track to be putting 60 F3 cars on if you're looking for action.
Yeah, so Tyler specifically asked me not to hand to him through this segment, so Connie, it's you and me, buddy. Let's go for your starting grid for this race number 2 here from the Daytona International Raceway, the Team Redline Pro Fun Cup by Adrenaline Control here on iRacing. Lando Norris pole position. Verstappen get second place in qualifying. Feels a little bit like race number 1 here with your top 5 drivers, but Max Benecke in 3rd place. Robbie Foley, great qualifying by him, gets P number 4. Ben Fiscal, Formula 3 driver, in 5th place. Into Katzberg in 6th place. Then you've got Sindre Setsas in P number 7. Nicky Team in P number 8. P number 9 will be Daniel Juncadella, and then Kevin van der Linde rounds out your top 10 with Atty Kirchhoff 11th, Beckel Jensen in 12th, Patrick Schneider in 13th, Daniel Lundgaard in 14th, and Job van Ut in rounding out your top 15. Connery.
Alex Ellis starts in P16. Antonio Felix da Costa starts 17th here in race number 2. Max Hofer in P18. We see Nagy Daniel in P number 19. Matt Campbell starts in the 20th spot on the grid. Jonas Wallmeyer, though, struggling with these Formula 3 cars. He starts P21. Daniel Morad in P22. Christopher Dambeats in 23rd on the starting grid. Neil Verhagen in P24. Gianni Vecchio starts 25th. Dennis Marshall in 26th. Bortolotti starts 27th. Vidas Donk in P28. Nola starts P29. And Lorenzo Colombo rounds out your top 30. Jimmy Broadbent starts P31. Eng starts in 32nd. Azam starts 33rd. You see Dents there 34th. And Frederick Leo rounds out your top 35.
Yeah, Mike Rockenfeller, P number 36. And if I hit that button, Nicholas Lorbech, P number 37. Christian Schroeter in P number 38. Edward Jones and Mikael Mack round out your top 40. Remainder of those times coming up on your screen right now. One thing quickly, as we are going to see cars coming round NASCAR Turn 3 and 4 any second now. Very quickly here, Tyler, is the fact that the qualifying gaps really, really small.
Yeah, usually you can get a good idea at how competitive a field's going to be if you look within the
car
one...
spinning!
Oh, we've already got cars
That's the
spinning.
number 1 car. It's a bit like the 1996 Michigan 500 race.
Oh,
And
no.
who was that? I'm just trying to figure out who that was.
Number
exactly.
1 car, that is Nicky Katzberg there, who spun on
Kevin
the
van der
banking.
Linde's around as well.
Oh my word, we'll get a replay of that once things settle down. Because Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, 2 Formula 1 drivers, front row of the grid here. We are ready to go racing once again here at Daytona International Raceway on the road course. Side by side, pace car on towards pit road, green flag in the air. We are racing once again as the green flag's been taken then by Lando Norris cars in towards turn number 1. They come for that first time. So we got a couple of technical issues here. We're going to go on board with... There we are. We've got someone. We're fine. Edward Jones, who's currently in your pack right now. So, yeah, second race is underway. You've got Lando Norris at the front of your field. We're going to go on board and look from the front of his car right now, he says. Give us one moment, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? What we're going to do is we're going to talk for a moment. as the cars are working themselves then through the first sector here and on towards turn number 6 and the banking for that first time. Verstappen is at the front of your field right now, and he is on to that banking, Connery.
Yeah, he is, and falls back onto that lower line as those technical issues will start to clear up from this point forwards. Max Benecke looking towards the outside already. Here comes Norris then towards the outside of Verstappen. We'll see 3 wide down the back straight already here in race number 2. Norris trying to make some progress around the outside into the bus stop, and he will have to dive back in line. Doesn't have enough speed to try and get around Verstappen, but Verstappen looking to try to lead this first lap here, but that drop can extend to quite far back here in these cars at Daytona. So it's just going to be the case of Norris getting right up to that rear wing of your race leader. He's going to step out. Benecke is going to look to make it 3 wide, coming across the start-finish line. Foley is looking to get himself involved as well. Norris cycles through to the race lead, but he is being challenged here into turn 1. We'll see 3 wide into here. Foley backs out. Benecke having to go the long way around here into turn 1, and I get the feeling we'll get this all race long.
Yep, the key phrase we talked about earlier on, Tyler, sitting duck might be the big thing. Benecke up into P number 2, Foley still in P number 4, Ben Viscal in P number 5. It wasn't the best of first laps there by Lando Norris, but he does still have the race lead. We're going to go on board with Max Benecke in that number 40 car right now as they head themselves. Actually, no, Benecke's gone to the race lead there. Great move right the outside through turn number 5.
A great move for Max Benecke. Gets himself up into the race lead, and now Lando Norris will be down into second place. But what you were saying, Will, about the sitting duck, I think that's going to be the most important factor in this race to think about, is if you're in the race lead, how much of a gap are you leaving to the guys behind? Because look at the run Lando Norris has gotten in that very short period of time. He's going to go get the draft, side draft, and completely clear Maximilian Benecke before they even get into the bus stop. Then Max Verstappen as well slots himself up in a second, and now he's going to have some severe overspeed on Lando Norris. Robbie Foley as well, trying to get by Max Benecke in the background. They're going to be 2 wide, 2 deep as they go through NASCAR 3 and 4.
2 wide, oh, look at that, Ben Viscal down below the double yellow line there on the exit of NASCAR turn number 4. They always say if you're going to go down, you've got to make sure you've got a safe space to come back up, as that ticket's going to run along the top of your screen right now. Top 3 there past the start finish line, separated by exactly 1/10 of a second. Ben Viscal right there throwing his name into the hat. Formula 3 driver running with Norris, Benecke and Verstappen. And Verstappen has got the lead of the race right now. Benecke alongside him as they exit the International Horseshoe. This is going to be a race here, Connery, where nothing is going to calm down. 2 wide, packs of racing is going to be the norm for the entire race. But we did have a lot of drivers out there on the first lap, as we expected.
Yeah, absolutely. It was big instant a little bit further back as race leaders continue to try to position themselves. And, Verstappen pushing wide, coming out onto the banking, narrowly avoids the safer barrier wall, coming onto NASCAR turn 3 there. And now it'll give the Benecke a chance to work his way around the outside. But yeah, the attrition on this race has exactly been what it was on race 1, but that is to be expected given the different types of cars. Benecke trying to get to the race lead. He has about half a car length advantage into the bus stop, but he's having to go the long way around for the first apex, and he's back to the inside for the next couple. They go side by side through the entire bus stop with Verstappen and Brent Viscal looking to work his way in as well. He's on the outside looking in at the moment. So is Lando Norris. Foley also in this train, staying with Ellis as well. So anyone inside this leading pack right now could potentially win this race if they keep it all clean, as they'll go 3 wide yet again. Sometimes you do 3 wide so often that it starts to lose its spice.
Yeah, you can go about 5 wide in these cars if you really wanted to. Of course, let's not forget the greatest Freedom 100 ever happened. Ironically, a race that, Tyler, we got late to the track and I missed the finish, like 4 wide finish at Indianapolis, but I've got a feeling already it's going to be a 3-4 wide finish to the line here today.
I got a little bit more than a feeling that it's going to be a 4-wide finish to the line here. And you say that, I guarantee you these guys next time by are going to be 4-wide coming across the start-finish line, and that just isn't going to end well. As you can see, Norris going by Bent Vascal and Foley as well, trying to move his way up. There's just so many drivers moving themselves around, strategically placing themselves and trying to get themselves in the best possible position, heading on. Really, it doesn't matter for these first 11 laps. It's all about the final lap and just making sure that you're positioned well for that.
It does matter to an extent. It's about getting into position, as we just see there. Nicholas Jökvist just getting himself, Nicholas Jökvist getting himself past Attia Drudel as they work themselves through the banking then down at NASCAR turn number 2. Back to the front of your field, we had side-by-side from moment between Benecke and Verstappen. One driver's fallen back though, and it's the number 15 car, Robbie Foley, who I think might have had a slow-down penalty there, down in the bus-stop chicane, Connery.
Yep, and that's always a big risk. And seeing the number 56 having problems as well, which is Roman Ganulo, as they'll go almost 4 wide for the race lead into turn 1. That's not going to work. They will spread themselves a little bit thinner coming down into here. Leading them in.
That's Alex Ellis.
Huge crash.
Yeah, that's Alex Ellis there. Big crash, turn number 1. As the replay is up here, Tyler, in towards turn number 1. This was down in towards that first corner, second pack, and, well, Ellis just basically got clipped. 2 cars having an incident, 1 car into the safer barrier, Ellis then into the safer barrier.
Yeah, very big incident. You could see the parts go flying with the new damage model, and that is going to be Alex Ellis' day done here from Daytona. It's that little bit of contact when you're going that fast can lead to catastrophic endings, and it's proven that once again.
Once more here. 7 and a bit laps to go in this race. These are short races, side by side, race lead. Verstappen to the point is Benecke. Oh, look at that, below the yellow line for Lando. That's a little bit naughty, and he's going to get the inside line in towards the bus stop. It's Lando versus Max again as they exit the bus stop chicane, and, well, a little bit naughty there by Lando Norris, but hey, all's fair in love and war here, Connery, right?
I mean, him and Verstappen have already come together in race number 1. There's no reason why it can't happen again. It's sort of 3 wide coming out of NASCAR turn 4. It's going to be Verstappen on the inside, Lando Norris in the middle, but with the run of speed, Max Benecke around the outside. Lando's in a bit of a Max sandwich at this moment in time. They will continue with the 3 wide on the brakes into the first corner, and Lando, oh, this might have been the first one to back out here. Yes, he has. Decides to file back in line, try and make sure that Benecke can't get ahead of him coming through the first sector, but Benecke still has the inside into the international horseshoe, goes deep on the brakes into there, and carries a lot of mid-corner speed as well. He's able to edge his way ahead coming off the corner. Norris has the draft behind now, but this is just all about positioning. Where do you want to be coming towards that final lap or that second to last lap to try and give you the best chance of getting you the slipstream pass coming across the start-finish line?
And you know what, Tyler? We talked in the last race briefly about being in the right position at the right time. The same applies here, possibly more so. These drivers, if they are intelligent, would be setting up a run and practicing what it will take for them, where they need to be on the entry to the bus stop chicane on the final lap to make the pass at the start-finish line. We're on board right now. Another driver going below the yellow. That is Bent Viskel down in towards the bus stop chicane over Lando Norris. They work themselves through the bus stop on the exit of the bus stop. And it's going to be Viskel up into 3rd place. He is, of course, a current Formula 3 driver, is the number 18 car. So he should know a little bit about these race cars. But as I said, it's about setting up the run, and whilst Viscal and Norris went side by side into the bus stop, it's allowed the top 2 drivers to pull away, although they are side by side, and actually a bit of strategic manoeuvring there past the start and finish line. It looks like the 2 Maxes might be working together.
Yeah, definitely looks like they are. And you're exactly right, Will. It's all about the strategic positioning, and it's about practicing that time and time and time again. See how many times, you can make the same move work, and just practice getting that run and getting the car passed before you get to the start-finish line. Because it's never going to be the same twice, but you can at least practice it. And Lando Norris is dropping down the timing screens. He's out of this race.
Oh, my
He's towed back to
word.
pit lane. Contact, I believe, at the eggs. Actually, sorry, no, he's just run wide at the end of turn 1 and gone through the grass, spun it out, and has decided to bring himself back to pit lane.
Let's get ourselves another look at this one, shall we, Connery, quickly. Through turn number 1, he pushes wide. Through the turn 2, turn 3. He kind of caught the kind of bump that's there on the grass, and I've got a feeling that probably damaged his suspension.
Yeah, and, of course, the grass is very much deaf here at the moment, and it looks like Lando Norris found that out. He did almost rejoin the circuit, but he got a little bit of a snap as he got back onto the racing surface, and it just sent him straight back into the grass, and he decided to also rejoin what would have technically... No, he didn't decide to rejoin. I was going to say, if he did decide to rejoin, that would have been technically been an absolutely massive corner cut. But decides against it and takes the tow back to pit lane. So it does mean that Norris is unfortunately out of this race. He could potentially get back out there after his tow is done, but albeit a good couple of laps down. And now it just leaves Max Benecke and Max Verstappen at the front of the field. They are quite clear as far as Brent Fiscal is concerned. They're about 1.5 seconds ahead of him. So it's the Max duo at the front trying to fight things out.
Yeah, we're looking on board and Nagy Daniel there, who had been bump drafting almost Max Hoffer through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Actually, Hoffer getting loose for the International Horseshoe. We've got to think a little bit about the fact that these tyres will lose their sheen actually pretty quickly. We're going to go back to this, but we're going to keep it on this battle for a moment. These tyres will lose their sheen before too long, Tyler. So the drivers that pushed heavily early on, they're going to start struggling in the next lap or so. So you got to think about that in terms of those that try to make up positions early. Even though this is not a high tire degradation track, have they got enough to get themselves to the end of this race without starting to lose massive performance?
Yeah, and that's one of those things that just adds layers of things with this new tire model. It's so much more to think about, and it's really realistic. You've got to remember, hey, do I want to push early and possibly wear out the tires too quickly, as Maximilian Benecke nearly hits the outside wall there. That was a little bit close for him, but he gets a very good run here on Max Verstappen. But like I was saying, it's one of those things you kind of have to take the risk over reward and take the good with the bad to figure out, is it worth pushing super hard early, or is it worth just kind of chilling out in the back for the first part of the race and pushing hard and getting the tires right to optimal at the end?
Just to let you know, we did see a replay after a replay there. Benecke did get himself past Max Verstappen, but Connery, this is where our 2K World Cup and our Monday Night Skippies commentary comes into play. We all know that the next lap and a half or so will be mind games. Do you want to lead? Do you want to be second? And as they battle, if they do battle, it will allow Brent Fiscal to get back into this. And I'm thinking, but the two Maxes out front realise that and don't want to really start truly scrapping until the final lap. You might even say until after they get past turn 6 on the final lap.
Yeah, they don't want to risk anyone else getting involved in this battle at the moment, so they'll just do the strategic swap of position in towards the bus stop once again, just slipstreaming off of each other to try and get as far ahead of Brent Fiscal as is possible. So you can just see this is all being orchestrated right now at the front of the field between the two Maxes. It's now Verstappen that leads them out of the bus stop. Benecke, he's going to be the one second in line, and he's going to be able to get the pass done once again, coming through NASCAR's turn 3 and 4. And This will be the crucial point in the track coming onto that final lap, because it looks like if you're second in line in the bus stop, you can get through, and very clearly through, before the start-finish line. But can you get it back here? That's the question that Max Verstappen is trying to answer right now. Not quite on that last lap, but given the right set of circumstances, it is possible to get them swapped over again.
Nagy Daniel versus Max Hoffa, they were separated by just under a tenth of a second as they came past the start-finish line. Richard Westbrook, by the way, versus Mikko Bottolitti as they battle for P number 8 on track. This is a close one as well. Mikko Bottolitti in the number 25 car is currently 3 tenths of a second ahead of Richard Westbrook in the number 58 car, Connery, as they work themselves from the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, so this is battling just inside of your top 10 at the moment, and Bertolotti, Westbrook, they're sort of on their own a little bit here, in a bit of no man's land between dueling packs at the moment, so they're continuing along well. Meanwhile, the 49 has had a problem. That's Utert that has spun coming onto the NASCAR banking later on in the lap, goes very wide and just loops that car around, noses that gearbox into the wall, and now he has taken the tow back to pit lane.
Question on social media: is the Academy Award winning actor Jimmy B in this race? The answer is yes. That's the good news. The bad news, however, is that he's currently running in P number 18, and he is a bit of a way back. I think he was involved in the incident early on in this race, Tyler, so he is currently 1 lap down.
Yeah, currently 1 lap down, but there's a lot of drivers in that same boat that are about a lap down after they've had to come into pit lane and get their cars repaired after what was an exciting first lap. Can we put it that way? I think that's kind of dull to really put it that way, but it's true. It was certainly exciting.
To quote Kurt Angle, it's true. It's so true. Because I've got to keep it family friendly. Thank you, YouTube. As we're looking right now at Nagy Daniel again, he was right up on the rear on Max Hoffa there in the battle for P number 5 as they work themselves through turns number 1 and 2. T Redline just tweeted someone, just keep going forward next time. I don't know who they're talking about. I assume that's gonna be Lando. We've got to change for position. This is for P11 and 12. This is Philip No versus Christopher Shorter. That's down in towards turn number 1, and that's down outside of your top 10 right now, Connery.
Yep, it is. We are on the penultimate lap, though, lap number 11 of 12. So these battles are going to draw themselves to a close in just a couple of moments' time, especially the battle between the two Maxes in the race lead at the moment, or for the race lead at the moment. It is Max Verstappen that's in the prime position right now, but will it actually be fruitful coming towards the end of that last lap? Because Beneke, he's behind, he can just draft straight past, but does he do so on this second to last lap? He goes right to the high side of NASCAR 3 and 4, but does he continue to draft by, or does he want to sit behind and actually get that draft pass done coming onto the final lap? And that's his strategy card played now, because he's just going to duck back in line. He doesn't want to commit to the pass just yet here. Well, does Max Beneke? He wants to get it done on that final lap coming to the checkered flag. I don't know how much Verstappen can do about this, but if there's a man that can, it's him.
It's time to have the Max battle. It's time for Max and Max. That's about as much comedy as you'll get out of me today. But it is the battle of the two Maxes. Verstappen's leading the way. Beneke in second place. Ben Viscal runs in third right now. But the gap between P2 and P3 is currently 5 seconds. So it is a 2-horse race right now. Verstappen leading the way in number 33 Team Redline machine, and Max Beneke in the Porsche 24 driven by Redline car runs in second place. We're on board with Beneke. You can see he did the IndyCar tackle, dropping back a little bit to then close up and make the move at the right time. The last thing you want to do is be having to check up through the bus stop chicane. He's a little bit too close, actually, and he's slingshot there by Beneke, because Verstappen looked as though for a moment he wanted to fall back into P number 2. This could be a case of they're going to slow down to work out who's going to do what. Verstappen right now has outsmarted Max Beneke by the look of it. 2 races, 2 Formula 1 drivers winning out here today. Max Verstappen will come past the start-finish line, and it will be Verstappen for the number 33 Team Redline car taking victory here. Formula 3 racing, Daytona International Road. That is a little bit anticlimactic. I want to see a replay there of what happened between these two, and I think a little bit of mind games came into play, Tyler.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of chicken there, really, between the two of who's going to fall for it. And Maximilian Beneke, he tried to outsmart Verstappen and not let him pull that tactic, but it didn't work out for him, and Verstappen still able to come out with the win after he pulled quite a bit of a gap by just gassing it once again after Beneke had the brake so hard.
Yeah, I'm going to see if we can get another angle of this. I want to see the dash, if possible, for these drivers, and we want to show you what would have happened from them. Here we are on board. Yeah, it seemed to be as though, Connery, that there was a lot of mind games going on between the two of them. Who wanted to lead first into the bus-stop chicane? And it looks like Max just outsmarted Max.
Yeah, absolutely. It's thing is, there had to be half a mind for Beneke that Verstappen would actually try to do that. So you can just see he was so tentative in terms of trying to get himself by. But I think Verstappen slowed up Beneke just enough to be clear out of the bus stop and far enough out of range that draft really didn't have a massive effect for Beneke. People saying 300 IQ move, I'd have to agree with them.
Yeah, indeed. And there we are, looking at the unbottom. The thing is, because what that did is it essentially hurt Beneke's run through the bus stop chicane. It gave then Max Verstappen the opportunity to really go for it and claim the race victory. Here is another look. You can see he slows himself down. This was in towards the bus stop chicane, and because of that, he just upset the kind of rhythm. And if we were to be doing a NASCAR broadcast right now, Tyler, we always say rhythm is so important.
Yeah, it really is. And that, I mean, the slightest change to it can make the biggest difference. And you can see, I mean, obviously, Verstappen able to really outsmart Beneke there, upset his rhythm a little bit, and make him not be able to get the run as they head through NASCAR 3 and 4. And he really played that one perfectly. I don't think he could have played that any better, being the car out in the race lead, who was just going to be absolutely a sitting duck if he didn't do anything about it.
Swing to the rhythm. That's the last time I'm going to sing on this broadcast, I think. But you know what? A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Verstappen having an incident at Bathurst, and I said he had what I called a rookie error. I got a lot of stick for that. Here today, I agree with Connery. A 300 IQ move there by Verstappen. It shows again that these racing drivers, a lot of it is the psychological mindset that you have that makes you fast and makes you a champion. And that today was an absolute masterclass of last lap driving when Verstappen was actually in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's have a look then through your final race results from our second race here today from Daytona and in the T-Redline Pro Fun Cup powered by Adrenaline Control. Max Verstappen does a masterclass down at the bus stop chicane on the final lap of the race, and he claims victory by 7/10 of a second over Max Beneke. Bent Fiscal, Formula 3 driver, comes home third here in this event. Daniel Lundgaard runs fourth place, and Max Hoffer rounds out your top five. Nagy Daniel in P number 6, and Christopher Danbeat in 7th. Richard Westbrook in 8th place. Mikko Bortolotti in 9th. And Nicholas Jobson rounds out your top 10. The rest of the results then coming up on your screen. Matthew Drudy in P number 11, Philip Noble in 12, Christopher Shorter in 13th, Robert Heger in 14th, Nicholas Van Bullingtoft in 15th place, Mark Rubicht in 16th, Kenny Vudzendonk in 17th, Jimmy B in P number 18, Nicholas Lorbich in 19th, and Marvin Dintz rounds out your top 20. Well, that was entertaining there, Tyler.
Yeah, I think that's probably the simplest way that you could put it, was entertaining. These guys really did pull out all the stops tonight to bring us an amazing race, and that we did definitely have. The two races that we had on offer were both exciting. They were both at Daytona, which some of the time can produce kind of some dull racing, but that's certainly not what happened tonight. We had some incredible racing tonight from nearly 60 of these drivers that we had in both sessions.
Yeah, indeed. We'll get the chance to talk to a couple of Maxes right now. I'm going to start with Verstappen. First of all, Max, I do apologise for saying rookie move a couple of weeks ago at Bathurst, but I think you pulled out a great move here today, showing the importance of driver IQ when it comes to all forms of motorsports, because really, you outsmarted one of the best in the business on iRacing on that final lap.
Yeah, well, I mean, anyway, it was a really fun race. I think, Max and myself, we worked really well together, getting the other people out of the draft, and then of course I think we both knew that we didn't want to lead into the bus stop and out of the bus stop, so the only option I had was to try and trick it. And I mean, of course, you know, he didn't want to let me be second, but then he of course braked, and then I could accelerate, and I had my 6/10s or something and could win the race, which it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
How much of a plan did you have in the last couple of laps, knowing the fact that you had a 5-second advantage to the driver in P number 3? Was there a different game plan? Had it have been, you know, a 3, 4, 5 car horse battle, or was it something that you basically just did on the fly?
Well, I mean, you could clearly see already after a few laps that you didn't want to lead, basically, towards the line. So I knew that coming the last lap, it was anyway between me and Max. So it's always tricky. I mean, you could see it in a lot of categories. Always the last lap is a bit of a tricky one to try and get it right with the slipstream. But sometimes you win it, sometimes you lose it.
Of course, COVID-19's put a dent in the start of your Formula 1 racing career for 2020. How has it been being able to not only race, but have fun racing? In terms of sim racing, of course, you've been a part of many events in the off-season. You've been a part of many events as well over the last couple of days, to be frank.
Yeah, I mean, it's keeping me sharp. What else can you do at the moment? I mean, you have to stay inside, so and it's fun. I mean, I really enjoy sim racing anyway, and I think it's anyway. I did it already a lot over the winter time as well, and I think for me it's fun, but also I think I can keep my skills to try and practice my skills and try to make it even better. That's why I love doing it.
Well, thanks, Max. From one Max to another, Beneke, you kind of got outsmarted there a little bit, buddy, didn't you?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. I mean, I knew he was up to something, but I thought he might try it after the chicane. But then I couldn't just see him anymore after he slowed down. I was slowing down too much, and then that was basically it. I thought maybe I can go flat out, and then I'm way ahead of him, but no. And it's just a mind game there, and it always happens in as Max said, in many categories. So just happy for the race before, not happy about the end.
Now, kind of flip to Max, of course. Your big season starts in the next few weeks in terms of things like the Porsche East Cup, in terms of other events. All of the racing that you're being encouraged to do right now because of COVID-19, etc. How is it changing your preparation for your quote-unquote core sim racing event that's taking place over the next couple of months?
Well, of course, many people now have to work from home. Same for me. So obviously, you have some more free time. But I wouldn't say it affected pretty I don't know. We've always done practice together, sometimes at midday, sometimes in the afternoon or in the evening, and I think that just continues. And if you race for a certain amount of time during the day, let's say 4 hours or 5 hours, then you're really done afterwards, and then you just need to take a break. So I don't think that even practicing more will just even make you a better sim racer overall, or will give you more the ability of being more consistent and fast. I think it's really about also having the balance between having a good social life and then still being focused and sharp for the races and for the practice sessions we have. So I don't think it influences it that much, but of course we have more people to work on now on different times of the day. That helps because not everyone is the most sharp when it's in the evening. But apart from that, practice just goes on, and we don't really much increase the time we put into the races.
We've had 2 random events here today. I'm sure there's going to be many more to come. What's the fun of racing when you don't quite know what you're going to be racing until about an hour beforehand?
It's really nice because obviously I'm one of the guys who's kind of experienced in most of the cars on iRacing, so that suits me very well. I mean, if it would be the TCR now, I would pretty much be done because I have no idea how to drive this car fast around the road course, just no idea. But all the other cars I'm pretty confident in, so for me it's very good. And obviously it's something really nice. Always getting the surprise and not knowing what we will drive. It's just nice overall, and it keeps the practice time limited, and that's what we want to see. And I mean, we had 2 really nice races this evening. I mean, I finished P2 in both of them, but the racing we've seen, I mean, we went 4 wide sometimes on the straight there and still managed to get through the first corner without any incidents. So that just shows the skill of everyone here, and even without having loads of practice. That's really nice.
Well, thank you, Beneke. Thank you, Verstappen. Before I let you go, Verstappen first. Any shout-outs?
Well, shout out, I think, to all my teammates as well, to all the sponsors. It's all about having fun as well. But to be able to organize something like this with all professional drivers as well, together with the professional sim drivers, I think is great, and it's good for everyone, to stay sharp. And it's always you try to beat each other, but like I said, it's fun, and we'll do plenty more.
Beneke.
Shoutouts, as Max said, to all the teammates and to the guys putting this up. It's a really great idea. Shout out to all the real drivers joining this event. That's just amazing for everyone, not just for us, for you to broadcast, for the people to watch. And then obviously shout out to our sponsors, Fanatec, Field Gloves, and AK Informatica. And shout out to you guys for hosting that, and also to Pure Driving School providing the setups for this.
Well, thank you to the 2 Maxes, Verstappen and Beneke. One thing very quickly here, Connery. I think we need to get away from people saying the words real drivers.
Yeah, because they're all drivers. No matter if they do it on a real racetrack in a real car or in the virtual world in their sim rig at home. It's all, they're more similar than they are different. Shall we say. They're not exactly the same, any real driver or sim driver that's tried the other discipline will tell you that, but it's still, what the viewers see out there on track is good racing, and that's what I hope people who are into motorsports are into the most. Yes, there's of course that risk element in real life racing, which really gets the adrenaline going, but I think for most people, I hope that it's the side-by-side action, the storylines that develop throughout a race that are really the gripping things, and that's what sim racing provides.
And Tyler, final thoughts. We've had 2 great races here today. Shows that anything can happen in motorsports, and it usually does.
Yeah, anything can definitely happen, and like you said, it definitely usually throws up some sort of interesting part, to say the least. I mean, you really never know what you're going to get going into every single event. Same thing that we had here tonight. You can kind of get an idea of what you're going to have, but at the end of the day, it's all down to pretty much you have a better chance of throwing some dice up in the air and trying to guess what numbers they're going to land on. And we had 2 amazing events here today. Incredible racing of both of them, and very close racing all the way through the field.
Couple of quick shout outs for people on social media. Dave Bergenheim, Max Verstappen, keep on going, fist bump. Black Hawk Motorsports, LMP1 around the Nordschleife. I'd take that one step further. Sprint cars at the Nordschleife. Trust me, it's much harder than anyone will ever give it credit for. Aloysio, good job, Max. Mary Crush, Max is king. Six Pack Pilot, great racing. So many Maxes, yeah, we know. We got Reela 1972 interview Visca. We would if they were here. And this pace, are we in trouble? No. So thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of this broadcast today here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. Thank you to Adrenaline Control, adrenaline-control.com for the Adrenaline Control Virtual Academy. You can find more information on there. And of course, you can come and give us some love on social media, on the Twitter machine, at Racesport TV, on the Facebook, /Racesport TV, and on YouTube, /HD Racesport, because we were too late to get Racesport TV. That is all we have got time for here today, ladies and gentlemen, on the iRacing Esports Network. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast. We hope that actually we've made your Tuesday night fun, especially considering the times that we're currently living in and the fact that there are many people around the world who are having to adapt their daily lives right now. And I know that for many people, it's not that fun. Here at Racesport TV and across the iRacing Esports Network, we hope that we can continue to entertain you day in and day out. The iRacing Esports Network has coverage of events every single day. From ourselves, Racesport TV, from SimSpeed, for LSR TV, from Podium Esports, from Apex Racing TV, the Global Sim Racing Channel, MaxSpeed TV, and so many more. Sim racing is great. We've been saying that for years. Now, hopefully, if you're new, you can share in the passion that we have. We'll talk to you next time on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. From Connery Maddock, Tyler Maxson, and myself, I'm Will Vincent. We'll talk to you next time. Good night from Daytona. Oh, and P.S. Happy anniversary to my wife. Goodbye.